strange but not so strange if you look at all the interconnecting pieces of your life and the little things that happen sometimes. In fact, I was watching a documentary the other day on reincarnation. I wasn't thinking about my own life. Something very weird has happened tonight. Over the last week, something weird has happened. I'm going to sound nuts, but I'll probably share it with you. Here's the interesting thing I thought of just now as I'm sitting here, and the culmination of all these things that come across, kind of like a whoosh. Okay, so about 8 months ago, I was at Anderson Park, or Anderson Farm, right down the street here, 5 minutes down the road, and they have that little book thing, kiosk, or whatever you want to call it. It's like a little outdoor thing. You can open it, put books in it, leave them there. People can take a book if they want. And so while Robin and I were there, March or April, they had a few of these Reader's Digest books in there. There's only 4 or 5 books in there at the time. And I reached in and I grabbed this one and I looked at it, and it says, the title is The Winter of the Fisher. Okay? I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. I'm going to grab that and read that this winter. So I dug this out the other day. And I started to read to it. I flipped to it. So I'll do that right now. Because this is kind of funny. Kind of weird. And I literally read the first sentence and my mind went back 30 years. First sentence. His first awareness was of being born, of shifting pressures and liquid movement, of cold that set his blood racing, and of the startling sensation as his lungs expanded with musky, heavy air. I read that much and I went, I've read this before. And I, was taken right back to high school. I read it on my own. I picked the book out of the library. It's not like we read it as a class. I picked it for a book assignment and I read this book. I saw that you could order, which I got today in the mail. But here's the interesting thing that caught me. So I read this biography of this guy the other night, if I can find it here. Bear with me while I read this about this poor bugger. Actually, I'll show you a picture of him. So bear with me while I read this page. Okay, because this is kind of a really sad story about this guy. Okay, lyrical and intense, The Winter of the Fisher resonates with the sights and sounds of the Canadian North Woods. So again, that touched base for me, right? I live here in the Canadian North Woods. Yet its author, Cameron Langford, was a quadriplegic who never had the opportunity to visit the great forests he describes so convincingly. Langford was born in Windsor, Ontario in 1927 and was educated in Toronto. An inquisitive young man with an extraordinarily retentive memory, he had a wide range of interests including art, drama, music, and the sciences. In March 1952, Langford was seriously injured in an automobile accident and he lost the use of 75% of his body. For the remaining years of his life, he was confined to a wheelchair. After a lengthy and traumatic rehabilitation period, Langford worked in Toronto as a radio announcer, freelance writer, and advertising executive until deteriorating health forced him to remain at home. Eventually, he became completely bedridden, and it was during this time of enforced inactivity that he researched the North extensively in preparation for writing The Winter of the Fisher. His hands were completely paralyzed, so Langford tapped out the manuscript on an electric typewriter using an ingenious mechanical aid he had designed himself. Although Langford was a quadriplegic for close to 20 years, he contended that a person left with even one small ability should not be labeled handicapped, and he fought courageously for a normal life. He loved nature passionately and empathized with any hunted or trapped creature. Let them hunt with a camera was his response to those who killed for sport. Wendy Petriquin, his niece, described him as a gentle, romantic person who often performed quiet, unnoticed acts of kindness. Tragically, although Langford signed the contract for the publication of his first book and even began writing a second, The Snowy Owl, he did not live to see The Winter of the Fisher published. He died in April of 1970 at the age of 42. Now, if that isn't friggin' tragic, I don't know what is. But that's not the part that has me thinking. This is going to be crazy, I know. I'm not saying I am. It's just a thought that came into my head because I was watching a documentary this week on reincarnation. Here I am, a guy who likes science, music. I've been working every day, an hour a day minimum on my guitar for the past 2 years. We're almost at 900 hours now. I've written 8 novels. And so as I started to read this tonight, I started back on the first page that I was on. And I read a paragraph in here and I went, man, that sounds like my writing. And then, bam, the thought hit me. Whoa, wait a minute. What if it's possible? Because something else. I've always had this fear of dying in a car accident or being in a car accident. And I said to my dad when I was a little kid, I remember all of a sudden bursting into tears. I was probably 9 or 10 years old going, I don't want to die in a car accident. It came out of nowhere. It was really weird. It's just so weird that I read that sentence. That little paragraph, and bam, it just felt like something I wrote. That's weird shit, I know. That is really weird shit. Am I connecting with something from when I read it 30 years ago and that paragraph stuck with me just like the first paragraph? Is reincarnation real? Sound like it's true. I don't have any memories of a previous life per se. I just feel this guy's a kindred spirit. Is that what I'm feeling, the connection? If you were going to be reincarnated, wouldn't you want to somehow have a connection to your old life, even if you couldn't recognize it in your new life? Cameron Langford, can you hear me? All right, spirits. Tell me, if you can, thank you for joining me, about reincarnation. Yeah. Okay, so Gary just sent me this. I'm literally recording this. I'll show you. Okay. So he sent me this link to this. Didn't say anything, he just sent me the link. I'll read you what it says. It says, Top 10 Reasons People Are Afraid to Die. Join Sylvia Isaacson on her live interactive Saturday spiritual show at 11 a.m., blah, blah, blah. The topic today is the top 10 reasons people are afraid to die. Spelled wrong, but hey. It's a light-hearted discussion on our fear of death, reincarnation, near-death experiences, and living. He sends me something on reincarnation when I'm talking about reincarnation. What was my name in my previous life? My last life? Hi. What's your name? Playing with my camera again? said beside you. So you're beside me. Can you show yourself on the camera? Now, see, I thought maybe my TV was affecting this sensitivity of this webcam again because look at it. They've done this to me before. That's you, isn't it? Are you playing with my camera? I see you playing with my camera. Changing the lighting. How about, can you make it go a different color? Like make the whole screen go a different color? See now, camera's perfectly fine now, it's not doing it at all. And it's been fine for a couple minutes. Okay, so it's been a few minutes. Camera has not flickered at all in the slightest. I'd say like 4 minutes. If I give you a countdown, if I say 3, 2, 1, go, and then if I say go, can you make the camera do that when I say that word? Just so we're in sync. Are you ready? I know you can affect it. Let's just try it. 3, 2, 1. Sound like she's not in here, but then they stopped me before I could get to the word. Okay, so that's interesting, because when the camera was going crazy, a woman's voice said, beside you. Then when I asked, because this camera has not flickered since in a few minutes now, I said, I'll give you the countdown, let's do it again. A man specifically says, she's not in here. Okay, so I'm going to stop this session here because I had some interesting stuff happen. I think I had a visitor working the exposure on the camera again, etc. And I got some good responses. And food for thought on the reincarnation thing. I don't know. I do believe in reincarnation. Now, I'm not saying that I was this particular guy. It was just a thought that came to me. You know, don't hate. But I do want to go back to yesterday's experiment where people thought I was crazy again because I was listening to the white noise. I'd ask a question, and I swear I heard answers. I continued on for a couple more hours after the video that I posted because I was certain I was hearing answers. Now, neither Gary, my brother, nor my wife, Robin, could hear anything. I sent it to 2 friends. My other friend couldn't hear it, and the other person didn't get back to me. So based on what you guys are telling me from yesterday's video, you could not hear it either. I have 2 or 3 more that I saved. I'm going to put them on the end of this video. See if you can hear them. To me, it's plain as day. I can hear the responses to this white noise. So check this out. Try that. You say my name. Appreciate you helping me out with this experiment. Can you say my wife's name?